Hi, good morning. I'm Ian Casares from Ata Insights, and I welcome you to this webinar, which is part of the event RENMAT Mexico, that will be based on Mexico City the 3 and 4 of October. If you want to ask any question to the speakers, you can put them in the Q&A box below, and they will solve them in the last 20 minutes. This session is being recorded, and in a few days, we will give you all the materials used. Now, I'm going to present the moderator of this webinar, Patricia Tato, President of MERM and Vice President of ATA Renewables. Thank you, Patricia.
Hello, thank you very much for the introduction, Ian. Thank you very much to Ata Insights to having us. We are very pleased to be in this webinar that will go to discuss the opportunities for isolated self-consumption solar power supply with batteries in Mexico. Is now a topic very interesting at the moment. And we have today two experts in the field as part of our activities also together with Asolmex and with MERM. We're trying to showcase, well, the best expertise in Mexico as well, the best talent for women. And I'm very proud to present Ana Muradás, Sales and Business Engineering Director for Quartux. Ana will be presenting also today with us. Thank you for being here, Ana. And also José María Lujambio, which is also a regular in our webinars and a very close colleague and partner and an energy director of CCN, his law firm. He holds very much expertise in the regulatory framework and also that is currently discussing now in Mexico. And why is so important to be here and discuss the isolated self-consumption of solar power system with batteries? Because we know now that it presents a numerous opportunities in Mexico due to these favorable conditions for solar energy, growing energy demand, and we are seeing now that there is coming a supportive regulatory environment that we're going to be discussing now with Jose Maria. And also there are opportunities for huge business like Quartux is going to be discussing. We know now that Mexico has abundant solar resources, also tries to control the independencies and reliability of the grid. So for that, we are experiencing disruption now in the market where technological advancements are putting us into the right direction. No, we know now also that there are huge growth of solar opportunities in Mexico. We will see now we have a new government. We are waiting also to see what is the regulation that is going to be in place. But the fact that this sort of business, isolated self-consumption solar power systems, are growing, and obviously now the demand and the interest for those systems is huge. So that's why we are here to discuss, and let's wait also for the RENMAT, the 3rd and the 4th of October, where we're going to follow up with these topics. It's very this is an event in Mexico that it will be very specific in storage. So we are inviting us, all the audience to join us. And as well, if you should have any questions, you could pop them into the Q&A box down in the controls. So we can discuss the questions after our speakers finish with their presentations. For that, we're going to start with José María Lujambio, which is going to give us a framework and also discuss the main, give us tips and the main activities that are happening now in the regulatory area in this field. So welcome, José María. I let you with your presentation. Thank you very much.
José María, you're on mute.
Thank you.
Do you hear me now?
Yes, perfect.
Yes.
Now it's
Perfect. Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much. Well, thank you very much for the invitation to RENMAT Mexico, and of course to ATA Insights for really the privilege to participate in this webinar with a very interesting topic that is really becoming one of the main topics of discussion in the electricity sector worldwide already. Of course, with the main developments occurring in developed countries, but in countries like Mexico, really starting to really begin the discussion with all the regulatory details that we are going to discuss today. So let me just a second. There you go. So thank you, Patricia and Ana. It's a pleasure to be here with you. And just a quick note about our law firm. Chacheaux, Cavazos Newton is an international law firm. We're based in San Antonio with offices in Austin and McAllen, Texas, as well as in 8 cities throughout Mexico. And we are a binational, bicultural, bilingual law firm with professionals licensed to practice both in the US and Mexico. And in the energy market, we have been helping companies doing business in Mexico, in my case, since 2014. Our law firm has 30 years of being founded. And it's really a full service law firm that can help both foreign and Mexican companies do business in Mexico really for every industry and every sector. I lead the energy practice and I'm very proud about that. In case you need anything, I can always help. But let's go already into the presentation. Let me just briefly show you which are the basic procurement alternatives that end users have in Mexico for electricity. We have a self-supply regime called autoabastecimiento that comes from the law of 1992, and that's really not an option today. Basic supply is the default supply provided by CFE, the public utility. Qualified supply is the option that large end users have when they have more than 1 megawatt of demand to participate in the wholesale electricity market with the help of qualified suppliers. And then we have some on-site generation modalities that we are going to talk about in this presentation. Let me start with kind of clarifying some concepts, because the most generic idea would be on-site generation, but then we have some regulatory details that need to be considered. For example, the idea that isolated, I don't know what to do with this. Where do I leave this? Okay, I will leave this. Isolated supply is defined by the law as the generation or importation of electricity to satisfy the own needs or for exportation without conducting such through the national transmission grid or the general distribution grids. So this is a concept, the legal concept of isolated supply in Mexico. It doesn't mean that the relevant power plant or the relevant load center are not interconnected or not connected to the grid. That's not relevant. The point is that such energy produced in the power plant is not conducted through the public service utility. So, of course, load centers can satisfy part of their demand through isolated supply or the totality, and power plants can supply all or part of their generation to the load centers that they are associated with. So under the isolated supply scheme, end users have clean energy obligations. And this is important because this is really an incentive to for clean technologies, for the deployment of clean technologies in on-site generation projects. We must say that isolated supply has not been particularly favored during the current administration in Mexico. especially if there was an intention by the power plant to interconnect directly to the grid. There has been a concern in the past few years in Mexico about the impact that large solar power plants could have in the system, in the reliability and the operation of the national electrical system. Of course, it has been exaggerated, and it has been more like part of the lobbying of the oil and gas interests in Mexico, what has happened really. But at the end of the day, these kind of projects have also been a little hurt. We must say that in the past few months, some generation permits have been granted to this kind of isolated supply projects. So there is hope that things are going to be moving in that direction with a new administration, at least favoring, if not at the beginning, utility scale solar or wind projects, at least isolated supply projects. Also, interesting to note that back in 2021, the Energy Regulatory Commission issued some regulations to limit the sale of surpluses. And also they eliminated some flexibility with a concept called local generation. This is important because it also talks about this policy trend by the current administration of, if not blocking, certainly difficulting or changing the economics of this kind of projects. Some other concepts that are important for those that are not in Mexico, not familiar with the Mexican market, is a concept of exempt generation. I just said that the CRE granted some permits for isolated supply projects. Well, that is in the cases in which the power plants are larger in terms of net installed capacity than 500 kilowatts in alternate current. But if power plants are lower than that or smaller than that, they would not require a generation permit, and they would not need to go with the Department of Energy, which is CENER, to get a social impact evaluation resolution. So this is really the world in which power plants can live without the need to get a generation permit, which has been very, very difficult in the past few years in Mexico. Now, one kind of exempt generation is what is specifically in Mexico called distributed generation. Distributed generation is exempt generation that is interconnected to the distribution grids. And I know that in other countries, the concept of distributed generation can be a little different in the sense that it can include larger power plants or other concepts, but this is the legal concept in Mexico. And it's important that to note that this figure of distributed generation has been incentivized in Mexico really since 2010, when the CRE first approved the net metering methodology to incentivize with bidirectional meters. No? Also, these kind of projects have a simplified interconnection procedure. So really, in the world of distributed generation, and again, power plants, on-site power plants with a capacity lower than 500 kilowatts, we have seen an exponential growth really in the past few years. Of course, it has to do with the price of the solar technology. This is obvious for everyone here, but also with the incentives, no? So by December of 2023, we already had in Mexico a little more than 3,300 megawatts of solar deployed in this kind of scheme of distributed generation. Around half of it is in power plants that are smaller than 10 kilowatts. So really the very residential level. And half of it is other kinds of projects, right? There is a draft of new regulations for distributed generation in Mexico. It has been in consultation since October of 2022, so almost 2 years of public consultation. Perhaps one of the main aspects of that regulation is that it would eliminate net metering for mid-voltage connections. That means, and it would substitute it with some other scheme that is not as favorable to this kind of projects. But I don't think that it's going to be like catastrophic if these regulations pass. They are generally okay, but certainly there has been a dispute between officials within the administration, people from CRE, people from CENER, that are not in full agreement about the content of these regulations, and that has been the reason of the delay. Now, let me go to the next concepts that have to do strictly with storage, because this webinar is about isolated supply with storage and deploying solar technology, right? Well, we have been discussing kind of the concepts here. Storage. What about storage in the current Mexican regulation? Well, a critical issue is really that storage is not even mentioned in the current law. So we have an electricity industry law since 10 years ago. It was amended 3 years ago for other reasons, and they never have included the concept of storage. So it is only addressed in certain market regulations. That is a problem because when you don't have the legal foundation at the top of the kind of legal hierarchy, things get complicated when you want to regulate or implement certain policies. No? In any case, what can be said is that the market basis and certain manuals that had to do with the wholesale electricity market basically treat storage as if they were power plants, and they should be represented by an independent generator, and they can make offers, and also their costs should be considered under I'm sorry, in the analysis of limited energy resources, et cetera, et cetera. The point here is that basically, in the current regulations, for purposes of the wholesale market, storage is deemed as if it was generation. It also says that the market basis that they could be part of the transmission and distribution system. So they understand, at least at the regulatory level, that storage could also be a kind of standalone and just part of the grid to solve congestion issues. But really, we have not seen storage in the wholesale electricity market in Mexico. So this is just the regulations, but not the reality. That's not where we have seen storage projects so far. Now, there are some the regulations that I mentioned about distributed generation. I'm sorry, let me put this over here. There you go. They mention the current regulations that storage capacity, when it is included in an on-site generation facility, shall not be added to the power plant's capacity. And this may be obvious for many of you, but not for others, in the sense that when you are deploying the storage facility, of course, electricity is not being consumed. So there's no way to deem that capacity can be added to the rest of the load center, no? The point here is that the maximum power available at the interconnection point cannot exceed the capacity established in the interconnection contract. Basically, you are not allowed to inject electricity coming from the storage facility to the grid. I know that in practice, this is way more complicated, but at least this is what the regulations say. And finally, in this part, there's an absolute lack of regulation of behind-the-meter storage systems. Those that are not interconnected directly to the grid, of course, they are connected to their load center. But when you don't have even like a power plant on site, absolute lack of regulation. And here we follow the principle, a legal principle, that if something is not forbidden, then it is allowed, and you can perform this economic activity without much problem. Now, there's a draft of new regulations for storage, and this is really something new and the most important novelty that we are seeing in the Mexican market recently. Again, not even mentioned in the law, but there have been some efforts to regulate storage other than what we saw in the other slide. For example, in 2019, the CRE approved some regulations to determine which products and services storage could render in the market. This is basic. But unfortunately, there was a political dispute in which the Department of Energy illegally suspended the publication of this regulation. It never came into force. The president of CRE was thrown away, and really it was the beginning of a story of the capture of the regulator by the policymaker during this administration. But, well, in October 2022, I already mentioned this, there's a draft of new DG regulations that propose that storage capacity shall not exceed the gross installed capacity of the DG power plant. I'm not sure that this is totally technically correct, but this is just a draft, and let's see how these regulations come out when they are published. Now, just last year, the CRE included storage regulations as part of the regulatory program. And just a few weeks ago, literally 6 weeks ago, the draft of these regulations was finally released for public consultation. There's obviously, it's too soon. The other regulation has been in consultation for almost 2 years. This one, few weeks, but there's already a report issued just today by the National Commission on Regulatory Improvement, CONAMER. They are in charge of organizing the public consultation, and they already issued a first report about the cost of and benefits of this regulation. And it's a report addressed to the CRE, so CRE can consider the comments of these other agencies. In any case, the new federal administration starts in October of 2022, so I don't see really CRE like moving fast and accelerating any procedure to publish these regulations before October. I think that the new administration has a lot to say in these matters, and CRE should be, and I think they will be, prudent in waiting for the new administration to start, and for President Sheinbaum and the rest of the public officials to start kind of getting the signals of what are the policy priorities in terms of storage for the near future. No? Just quickly, because you can take a look at this, and it's public. You can take a look at it in the CONAMER website. What are the main contents and concerns of this regulation? Well, electricity storage is defined. There's a detailed classification of storage systems that are called SAE, Sistema de Almacenamiento de Electricidad, depending on if they are associated with power plants, or if these power plants are exempt in terms of their permits, if they're associated only with load centers, if they're associated with load centers and power plants, which is isolated supply, or if storage is just standalone. So they kind of classify the different modalities. No? What is concerning is kind of like an emphasis in the justification of this regulation on the fact that storage, at least some regulators see storage as an interconnection solution, as if it was only a means to address the intermittency of renewable sources. And of course, that's not only the role of storage in the electricity system. No? We all know that storage can provide many products and services. And this emphasis in solving the intermittency or addressing it is a little, it's not really addressing the full picture. No, I must say also that the regulations said that under isolated supply, any injection to the grid would be forbidden, absolutely forbidden. And the storage capacity should be lower than the power plant's capacity. And there should be even technology measures to avoid any injection to the grid. Anyway, there are also two aspects that are concerning for us lawyers, that these regulations establish an illegal registration for storage above 500 kilowatts of capacity, and also an illegal permit for standalone storage, as if it was generation. Why do I say that these are illegal administrative acts? Because they are not established in the law. And in democratic systems, the law approved by Congress is the means to establish any limits to the activity of private parties, just like these ones. So the regulator would be exceeding their authority if they approve this registration and permit requirements. And finally, just to say you that there are some transitory articles there that says that 1 year after the publication of these regulations, SENACE would need to finish the adaptation of their interconnection and connection platform, which is called CIASIC. And then it says that 2 years after the publication of this regulation, we will have kind of the rest of the regulatory implementation. Let me finalize here, just food for thought without getting into any detail. Some things that are missing in the regulations that we would like to see. Of course, we were saying statutory definition. It's better to have it in the law than just in ordinary regulations. And perhaps the most important part, the need to address the economic feasibility of these projects with the adequate compensation of the multiple services that storage can provide. So storage can provide peak shaving energy arbitrage, like storage as a service, like Quartux is doing. They can, but in other markets, they also receive capacity payments, which it has been important for the initial development. They also provide the services of frequency control, spinning reserves, primary response, voltage control, reactive power, so many things that could be priced and paid for. But if the regulations don't say it, and it's not established as that for the Mexican market, it will never happen. Auctions, do we need auctions for this kind of assets? Addressing the technological neutrality is important, and also solving congestion problems. I'm going to leave it there to avoid boring you. And of course, I will be ready to address any question, and anyway, go ahead, Patricia.
Thank you, Jose Maria. For sure, you are not boring us. Definitely, there is a very good resume where we're standing at the moment, and it will give the investors a huge understanding of this sort of permits going forwards. We know now that there is a huge need to regulate these sort of services, to be able to pay for the battery nowadays is still a bit expensive, and the financial models represent only an expense. And if it means that is expensive, is a cost of the project, it will be more necessary to prove in the financing, and it will be more necessary to make even more calculations in order to be able to allocate the storage. So there is not only that companies want to make money out of it. There is a need, because company needs to pay for the battery and to make it into their, revenues. So we will see now what Ana has to tell us about it, and to discuss a little bit more about the business model. Thank you, Ana. Thank you, Jose Maria.
No, thank you very much for the invitation, and to everyone who is here connected. This topic, as telling, is really important because there is this is not only informative. We are talking about really storage systems that are applied in Mexico right now. And we are talking about the opportunities that exist already, that these operating projects in general are the future of the smart energy storage systems in Mexico, in LATAM, and well, also in the world, that they are a little bit ahead of us. And well, what is the future of these storage systems in Mexico? The future of the energy storage in Mexico, it's having this significant growth and transformation right now. It's driven by the country's renewable energy goals. And we have these advances in technology that are supporting this future. And well, let me first talk a little bit about Quartux. For the ones that doesn't know what we do, we are the pioneers and the leaders here in Mexico regarding the BESS systems, that are the battery energy storage systems. We are pioneers since we had the first one in its type installed here in the country. We are the company with the largest number of these systems installations throughout all Mexico. And we have this really important software that it's the EMS, that it's the brain of these energy storage systems. This software, it's the Quartux control software. We have already implemented more than 500,000 hours throughout the different projects, since commercial and industrial clients, throughout the grid systems that we are talking about a little bit of detail here in this webinar. And well, let's start looking at the applications of these BESS systems. We have different applications. Let's first talk a little bit about the systems that currently exist in greater proportion here in Mexico, that are these systems for the commercial and the industrial clients. And these applications are regarding the peak shaving and the load shifting. To understand a little bit about these systems that are here implemented already in the country, and that we have a lot of them throughout diverse industrial clients, since hotels, hospitals, manufacturing plants, etc. This has a purpose of generating savings. And well, CFE, it's for all these commercial clients, they are charging them in an hourly rate. It means that the utilities are charged for the peak hours, that are really expensive, and non-peak hours, that it's a little bit more economical in the part of the energy. What's the problem? During these peak hours, that are the ones that the grid is most saturated, the energy consumption, it's really a little bit of the part of all the consumption of the client, but the cost, it's really high. It goes to the 40% of the bill only for this peak hours consumption. So what a peak shaving and a load shifting means, it's to optimize this consumption by charging the battery energy systems, and then using that same energy that we have charged in these non-peak hours, that are really economical, to use that energy on these peak hours. This makes really good savings for the client, but it also helps to make the grid more stable, since there are no the same consumption in these peak hours. The grid, with the demand and also the market, it's making these peaks low. It's making the clients to pay less, but it helps the grid to be stable and to don't have these blackouts that we are experimenting right now. This is a little bit of talking about the commercial. let's talk a little bit more about these utility scale projects that we're talking about more in this webinar. And these projects that are really the ones that it's this regulation that Jose Maria was talking about are focused on. And these are the utility projects. We are talking a large scale projects, talking about energy backup systems, talking about systems that can help to make a support and to make more reliable these renewable energy systems like solar systems, eolic systems. They are making them more reliable. And also the utility scale projects that help this stability of the grid that we are talking about, and also a little bit about microgrids. So let's first understand what is the problem with our grid here in Mexico. We have, talking about the grid, we have the supply, we have the demand, and we have the transmission. And these are things that we can control with energy storage systems. Talking about the supply, we can level off these peaks that we have by expanding the use of these constant renewable energies. Adding the best systems to this renewable energy generation can help the stability of them and to make the supply and the generation also of these technologies really reliable, making this a support for all the grid. Talking about the part of the demand, we have these technologies that help to regulate the business consumption, to interact efficiently with this grid and helping to reduce the demand spikes that we have that can cause these blackouts. And this, also talking about the transmission, these three things can be more reliable with storage systems and with the control of these storage systems, because the important things of these BESS systems is all the operation that we can make for them. We can make them operate to create really stable and really affordable energy consumptions for any type of system. No, what's this grid stability? The thing is that we think that we don't have the sufficient energy, but we really do have that energy. We have a lot of generation. Patricia at first told us that we have like this, and Mexico has this great generation possibilities, because we are really in a great place for solar generation, for eolic generation, etc. But we are having this energy in the wrong moments. We don't have the flexibility to take this energy that we are generating and injecting it to the grid in these moments where the peaks are really, really high. So we have to make a balance between the supply and the demand with these energy systems. We have this energy that we are not using in this low demand moments, and we take that energy to the battery energy systems to have it there. And when we have these peaks that are making the grid really unstable, we can take that energy from the best systems and really having that energy to help generate this balance between both of them and making the grid more stable. And well, talking a little bit about the regulation, Jose Maria told us what we can have about it, but talking a little bit about it, it's really a great place for us right now in Mexico to have these regulations, to talk about it, because it makes everything goes smoother. We have these supportive policies that the Mexican government is trying right now to implement to adopt these energy storage systems and to recognize the importance of this sustainable energy future that we have to go for in Mexico as a country. But we are also hoping that these regulations can help make incentives and subsidies for these energy storage projects. So the companies, the generation companies, the commercial industries are really happy to put these energy storage systems in their plants so they can help the grid, the Mexican grid in general, but also to have better economic regarding the consumption of their energy, and also to have market reforms to talk not also about CFE, but to talk about the qualified supply, to create these competitive and really transparent energy markets and encourage these investments for the energy storage systems. Going a little bit further here, we have these. We have like the first projects that we have, that are the clients that are in the industrial part. We have these projects that we can make for the companies that are generating the energy in Mexico, and we have also these applications for the battery energy systems that are the microgrids. These microgrids help to optimize the consumption in clients that don't have this access, or that don't want the access to CFE or to other supply companies, and they have the possibility to really make their own grid. These grids, the problem of these grids is that they are not stable if they don't have these energy storage systems. The really advantage of the best systems is that we can help to make this microgrid really flexible, to let these clients to have in all the moments of the day energy, regarding if they don't have solar generation, because we have that day it's not really good for generating solar energy. We are not depending on these variables, so we have in every moment we have these energy systems. And while talking about systems that are really implemented by Quartux in terms of microgrids, we can make backup control. We can really optimize the loading and the unloading of the battery energy systems, and we can help to make more stable this generation, that it's really something that we have to look forward to be like a country to have like less impact by generating by different carbon and other type of systems. No, and well, the Quartux control that we have can help us really understand the data that we have, understand what we are seeing in historical data, but also data in real time, and make these projects really affordable, make these projects have a really good investment for the clients, and also to help the grid in general by making it more stable. And this is all made about the Quartux analytics that we have to make these systems really stable for the future, and really something that we can implement as a country and also as an individual. And well, talking a little bit about the best systems in Mexico, I will be talking only about one project that we have. This is the largest commercial and industrial project that Latin America has, and we as Quartux has these systems. It's a best system that it's hybrid with solar, with a solar system. We are a little bit. We have a little bit of solar system. We only have 5 megawatts. That it's the thing that we can put without the permits in the regulation. And we have a best system of 10 megawatts and 20 megawatts hours to a hotel group. This system is making them have a 36% of savings. This system is making the grid around this hotel really stable, and not also the hotel has made the savings, but also all the companies that are around this hotel have seen their grid more stable, making a project that it's really a cycle for CFE, with benefits for CFE, with benefits regarding the client that is having savings, but also benefits for all the clients that are around this hotel, and that it's really investing in making this consumption of energy more stable, more economic, and also having this regard, talking about sustainability, because also the best systems makes these sustainability projects really go forward by making them more stable. And also Patricia was talking a little bit about the financial part of these systems. We know that these are really expensive projects. They're affecting directly to the clients and directly to the projects that we are having in Mexico about generating projects. But it's really important also to know that there are financial schemes regarding that they can be a direct sale, that the client can invest in these systems and have a return of their investment within 3 years. But there are also schemes that make easier for the companies and easier also for the government to have these projects in a little system or also in a utility scale. And we have these both financial schemes that are the leasing projects. This has a really good acceptance because the savings of the same projects are paying for the project's annual cost, making them really viable for all the clients. And a really good scheme that it's the storage service systems, the SaaS systems, that it's a zero investment through the clients. We as Quartux have the possibility to have this SaaS for all type of clients, little clients to utility scale clients, and make these savings for both of them. We can really make this best systems a part of the future in the grid systems in Mexico.
Great, Ana. Thank you very much for this massive presentation. I think you cover most of the very keen aspects, and also we have questions from the audience that I would like to share. First of all,
I think Patricia is having a little of a technical issue. Okay, she's back.
I'm sorry.
No
sorry,
worries.
you didn't hear me. I was asking Ana that what about the sort of batteries that you use and how is the mix with your inverters? And there is a question from the public.
Okay. Yeah. Well, the mix that we are making, it's the storage systems help any company. From these commercial industrials that I was talking about to energy generations and also to qualified suppliers. And we are also talking that it helps not only from a basic supply that it's CFE, but also to qualified supply. And these systems, they're battery, they're lithium-ion battery systems, and they are really making that energy use and the supply to be optimal and to really complete the grid flexibility and stability. I don't know if that answers the question.
I think that will be it, and then you can further the answer if you want later. Also to Chema, there is a question about what are the main battery or energy storage storage projects in Mexico in the recent years, and what will be, the most like success for those projects, Chema, or challenges.
Challenges for new projects, you said?
Yeah, for the
Yeah, I think I got it. Well, in the past few years, projects like the ones developed by Quartux, the ones that are behind the meter and that are providing these services for the end user, have been really what we have been seeing. Definitely not projects with participation in the market or things like that. But perhaps the main challenge will be for developers of utility scale solar and wind power plants, for them to properly size their battery requirement, because definitely the government will be requiring batteries as an interconnection, as if it was an interconnection work for every power plant from now on. So the developers should be thinking about sizing them properly in order to go and ask for the connection studies, expecting a good response from SENACE, from the system operator. But I think that's going to be challenging, and because SENACE may always be tempted to say, no, you need more capacity, even more and more and more, making the project more costly. No?
Yeah, well, definitely. The grid operator has their own requirements, and we will need to guarantee that we make their job easy and to present projects that have already certain calculations and think about that would be the need of batteries. So better do it first. And there is a question for you regarding politics, regarding Claudia Sheinbaum, whether if the energy, how you think that energy storage will be deployed with this current new government?
Well, Claudia Sheinbaum, the president-elect, she's a climate scientist. So she had a PhD from the University of California, from the University of California, energy efficiency. She understands what we are talking about, and that's a good sign for, I would say, for the energy sector, for the electricity sector generally. Of course, she comes from a political group that has been favoring the use of fuels for electricity generation. And that's going to be challenging for her in terms of breaking at some point with the kind of oil and gas policies and nationalistic and statist policies of President López Obrador. Now, I think there's already, in discussions with her energy team, they are already talking unofficially about, well, we might need to higher the threshold for distributed generation or exempt generation for 1 megawatt or more, or we are going to incentivize isolated supply projects in a first stage in order to solve some of the issues that end users have been facing at the industrial level in Mexico with this nearshoring phenomenon. So basically, what I think is that she and whoever she appoints as Secretary of Energy, President of CREA, and all of those, they will definitely be knowledgeable about storage, particularly, and its role in the electrical systems. And at the end of the day, that understanding, deep technical understanding, will really help Mexico achieving a good environment for the development of storage projects. I'm cautiously optimistic, let me put it that way.
Yeah, cautiously optimistic. Everybody is cautiously optimistic, mostly because the plans for transmission lines are not very generous in terms of deployment of large scale projects. No, there are some few plans in terms of reinforcing them or helping the system, but not really in a large number, no, in the enough size. So just to close this webinar, I'm gonna tell Ana if she wants to make closing remarks, and definitely we will continue this conversation in our event in October. Thank you very much for this timing. Ana, do you want to give your close remarks?
Yeah, a little close remark, talking about the importance and the future of these energy storage systems in Mexico. We as Quartux think that this future is bright, that there is a really significant potential about these systems, that these regulations that we are having are really important and are the incentive that we were looking forward for the grid in its totality to really implement the systems, and a little of differentiation between the systems that are for the industrial clients that are not in this regulation and the really big utility scale projects that are talking about in this regulation, and the ones that are really going to be the future of the stability of the energy in Mexico.
Thank you, Ana. Totally agreed. And Jose Maria, anything else?
Sure, I will just close taking advantage of one question that we have there that says that if the legislation does not allow storage, how come there are actual projects in the market? Well, quick clarification. If the legislation does not mention storage, doesn't mean that storage cannot be performed in reality, because it's not forbidden. And as long as an activity is not forbidden by the law, it can be freely performed by private parties, and that is the case. Of course, we would like to have storage in the law and the definition of storage, and the way to better implement the regulations is to have the proper concepts of the law. So hopefully, and with this I will close, our new administration is sensitive to the need of having the proper concepts in the different regulatory instruments, and also really that they understand the strategic role of storage in the future of our electrical system.
Thank you so much. I think there is a huge responsibility for everybody to get informed about that. Now it is a new market in Mexico that will need definitely batteries to run in the next few years as a matter of urgency. There are other markets like Chile that are well advanced, and some other countries that are pushing to get this legislation done to be able to decarbonize their systems. So that's a hope for everybody, just the industry, the politics, and everybody who is involved to get to know a little bit more. And we're welcome to receive you in the ATA Insights event RedMat in October. Thank you very much for having the opportunity to Merm and to Azulmex to join. And let's see each other in the next one. Thank you very much. Good morning. Goodbye, everybody. Ciao, ciao.
Very much. Gracias.